Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to jump right in and mix up some custom glitter. All the glitter is from Diamonds and Dust, and I'm going to take 3 little spoonfuls of Sugar Rush and then 1 of Sugar Berry, and then I'm going to take 1 of Pucker Up, and then I'm going to take True Love, and I'm going to stir in 1 spoonful, but I'm pretty sure at this point when I'm mixing it up that I'm going to need another one. And I did end up adding 1 more. I just loved the chunkiness of this glitter and the holographic iridescent look of the chunky flakes. So once we had that mixed up, we are going to be working on a 24-ounce slightly tapered tumbler from the Tumbler supply store. And I painted it I believe it was Dusty Rose from Rust-Oleum. It was the only light pink that I had in my entire spray paint collection, so I figured it was close enough to pink. And then I used my Crystal glitter glue, covered that tumbler, and then coated the whole entire thing in our custom glitter mix. I got that completely covered, and I realized when I put on the glitter glue that I had coated the bottom, but we're going to be doing a peekaboo, so I really didn't need to worry about glitter on the bottom, and that's less chances of having so many layers on the bottom. So I did not coat the bottom with glitter, and then once it was fully covered, I knocked it off with my scissors, and then I rolled it up in some notebook paper just to help flatten it down because we don't want any little bumps on this. So I gave it 1 good coat of epoxy. It could have used another if this was not going to be a peekaboo, but I didn't want to add too many layers because then we're really going to make this baby heavy. So it was pretty smooth. There wasn't a ton of chunky bits poking up because there wasn't really a ton of chunky glitter in the mix. So it was pretty smooth. There was only a few hit or miss little spots. And then I'm going to take this awareness ribbon and find the best spot on there. I wanted a lot of those little chunky pieces to show. So I found the best spot, laid that on, and then we are going to give it a good coat. Oh, I take that back. First, we're going to take our hot glue gun and put it all over this awareness ribbon so that when we spray paint it and then add glitter, it'll be easy to find where this ribbon is. So I took it outside, spray painted it white, and then once that was completely dry, then I brought it back inside and I again used my Crystal glitter glue and I covered the whole thing. And then we're going to go in a diagonal line for this glitter. Again, all my glitters are Diamonds and Dust, and I'm just not really worrying so much about blending these colors together because we're going to put a marble look over the top of it anyways. So it's just kind of a rough line right next to the previous color. I just used a bunch of different whites and some silvery whites. I pulled out everything in my collection that I thought would go good, and I'm just covering the whole cup. And then 1 line of pink. I'm going to use that same original pink that we did for the base glitter and put that on, and then finish covering it up all in white. When I was all done with that, before the glue dried, I immediately pulled up that awareness ribbon, and it's so good that that hot glue is there because it made it so easy to find it. I just used my little weeding pin and pulled that off, and then we're going to let this dry overnight, and then I'm going to spray it with 2 really good coats of clear glossy Rust-Oleum spray paint, and then it is going to get a good coat of epoxy. Actually, I think I did 2 thin coats. And then we're going to go back in with another same exact awareness ribbon, place it right over the first one. This is just removable vinyl. I always get it in orange because I rarely ever use orange, so I always know that that's my removable vinyl for projects. And then we're going to go in and give it a really thin coat of epoxy all over. And then I'm going to take a little bit of epoxy with some white alcohol ink in it and some light pink paint. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit just so it's not so runny. And then I'm just going to take a popsicle stick and just drape that white and the pink all over this cup. I don't want to completely cover up all of this beautiful white glitter or that pink glitter, but we're just adding like a marble look over the top, pretty much just like you would do a Milky Way, the same way a lot of people do those, but in the end it's going to be a little bit different. So I just added the white, and then I'm just adding it in different spots, using my finger to just kind of spread it along. And the reason we do a really thin coat of epoxy in the beginning is because the more epoxy you have, the more these colors are going to move, and I don't want them to get completely swirled and blended together. We really want them to stay in place pretty much and not go anywhere. And now you're about to see where I thought I completely screwed it up. So once I was happy with all of the lines and the blending and the marbling, I took an X-Acto knife blade, because that way if I got epoxy on it, I can just toss it. And I peeled up all of that removable vinyl, and this ended up taking me a little bit longer than I thought because it was kind of slippery and it was like slipping off my glove, so it made it kind of hard to peel it up, and it ended up sitting still for too long. So the bottom part of the tumbler, it started to not drip, but everything was kind of moving towards the bottom. So all of my blending kind of got mushed together. And so I almost panicked thinking, oh my gosh, I completely messed this whole thing up. But I didn't. I ended up fixing it and it worked out perfect. So once I got that all off, I turned it back on and I just took my finger and smoothed it all out again. It wasn't terrible, like it hadn't pulled up into one glob or anything. So there was still a distinct difference between the white and the pink. So I spread that out with my finger, and then I just ended up adding a little bit more of the pink. And then in the cup with the white alcohol ink, I added some white chalk paint because it's a little bit thicker, and I've noticed when I use chalk paint, it really thickens up the epoxy faster. So I added a little bit of the white chalk paint into that, and then it was pretty thick by this point. So then it really gave more distinct, more opaque spots and lines, and that is what I was going for to give it this really awesome marble look. I tried not to get anything in that awareness ribbon spot, and if I did, I just took the back of my glove and wiped it off. In hindsight, I probably could have done that with the whole thing and not worried about the removable vinyl in place, but I was worried that I would get too much on there and then it would just ruin the whole thing. So this is the way I went about it. And then at the very end, it was pretty stringy at this point, so I just took that popsicle stick and like draped lines over. They're pretty stringy, so I just kind of like pick it up out of the cup, drape it over, and drop it. And then I let it cure until it was completely done. I know the next part is going to be a lot of the same thing that I'm doing, but I wanted to leave this all in here to show you how I really played with it until I was happy with the results of the marbling look. And then as soon as I was happy with it, I stopped. I have a tendency to keep going and then I don't like how it ends up. So as soon as I was happy with it, I just stopped. But I will just leave all this in here to show you how I just kind of went back and forth with those lines and adding a little bit more white, and then also not when I like strung my finger over it to kind of do the blending, I also kind of patted it, which gave it more of a more marbly look and not so much a Milky Way look, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave the rest of this in here so you can just kind of watch me grow this progression of the marble, and then we'll go into the next step. I let that cure overnight, and then once that was completely dry, I cut an offset outline for the awareness ribbon, and I just used a really soft, light, like baby pink for that. And then I kind of debated what I was going to do next. I wasn't sure what saying I wanted. I created one. I'm not going to show you another mistake, but I created one and then I put it on and I didn't like it. So I kind of went back and forth researching some sayings, and I found one that I really liked in my Silhouette Studio software, and I decided to cut that out in, I didn't want black because it was such an like overpowering color. I wanted something that blended really well. So I ended up going with a metallic silver, and then the cursive words, I used a metallic rose gold pink, and it ended up being the perfect balance to the colors and just the overall design, and I'm really happy with how it came out. When I wanted to create this, I really wanted it to be really soft pinks, really subtle. I really wanted that marble. I really wanted the awareness ribbon with a saying that was perfect to really stand out, and I feel like it really came together. I was really inspired by Sandy from Sandy's Organized Chaos. I was watching her tutorial just a few weeks ago, and she shared one that she had completed that she was working on, and it not completed. I think she was in the process of working on a whole bunch of them, and it really inspired me for this design. It kind of has a similar marbly Milky Way look to it, and I am so thankful she shared that because it really gave me the inspiration for this, and it ended up being exactly what I envisioned in my mind. So after I added all of the vinyl wording, I was going to give it a coat of polyacrylic, but I decided to use my Turbo from Counterculture DIY instead because it sets up so fast. I wanted to see how it would work with a metallic vinyl. We all know that sometimes it lifts and sometimes it repels, but I did not want to seal it with polyacrylic because the Turbo does not like water-based items, so I didn't want to take the chance of having any issues. So I just went ahead and went in right with my Turbo, and it worked out perfectly. It sets up so fast that I don't think it has time to repel, so I highly recommend that. And not seal it. Remember, don't seal it. But Then I gave it one final coat of Counterculture DIY's medium viscosity, and this beauty was all done. It's so pretty. This one has already been claimed. I shared it in my group and I had several people interested in it because it is just so beautiful. And that's it for this week. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and as usual, I will leave all of the information where to find me down in the description box. I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a like, share, follow on all of the other social media platforms. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you back next week with a new tutorial. And again, thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.